They are difficult decisions that women make about whether or not to have an abortion. And I was interested in the list of reasons that you gave as an example. Financial, housing, age, whether the family is complete or not, broken or fragile relationships, lack of possibilities of raising a child. And I guess in this discussion that we've been having here, looking at the future for, hopefully the future for abortion rights in this country, we would have classified that group of reasons as socio-economic. And I'm very interested to see that you did not, nowhere did you list some of the things that cause the most discussion in this country, like rape, incest, fatal fetal abnormality, the risk to the life of a woman or the risk to the health of the woman, or suicidation. You didn't list them. So I just want to ask you, as an obstetrician and you're a professor in your field, would you consider these latter risks that I listed there as being almost automatic? There would be no discussion, but if a woman said, I've been raped and I want an abortion, that would not be an issue of discussion. Or there's been incest in a family and a young girl has been pregnant as a result, or fatal fetal abnormality. Can you look at those and say one measures up against the other? Because it strikes me, from having been listening to all of the experts we've had, and we've had some fantastic experts, that the biggest bulk of reasons why, and this would be borne out in my own experience, why women choose to terminate a pregnancy is the socio-economic reasons. And that those other reasons, rape, incest, fatal fetal, thankfully are the exception. And so therefore, if a society is to move to liberalise abortion for women, to give them choice, that the socio-economic have to be strongly considered as a reason for women being given access to termination. I'm just asking for your view.
I absolutely agree. I think you're saying a couple of things. You're saying, like, we see, like, we call it in Holland we call it a medical abortion, but medical was confusing. So basically, an abortion for medical reasons. They can be two ways. It could be either because the fetus has a medical condition, or because the mother has a medical condition and it would be unsafe to carry on with the pregnancy. Even, you know, if she's psychiatric and suicidal, then that would be one of the reasons we call it, you know. Now, there has been a long discussion about that latter one, when the mum's life's really in danger, and in the latest evaluation, that one is now outside of the criminal law. So if it's mandatory to say, if it's mandatory to perform an abortion in order to save the woman's life, you don't even have to blink it, you don't have to wait, you can just do it and there will be no repercussions whatsoever. All the other things are, we call social indications. So you call it socio-economic, we call it social. So whether it's rape, incest, housing, whatever, it's all under social.
Okay. So rape is under socio-economic as well? Yes, as housing and work.
Yes, but what we would like, and that's the way of, like, if it's rape and incest and you come across it, and this is where where you were asking, like, is psychological help mandatory? Now, in these, if we would find out that there was this incest and rape, we would strongly insist on having these patients. We would do the abortion, that's not the case, but we would strongly suggest to help the woman, to get counseling, to youth help, you know, youth care, whatever they would need. Absolutely, because you want to prevent it from happening again, and you want, the other thing, you also want to protect the woman from going back to that, you know, abusive environment. So we really would put all effort in helping these women, and not just by, you know, sending them to an abortion clinic, get it over with, and then we'll go on and deal with your life. Here's the pill.
Yeah. So there's different categories. Basically what I'm teasing out is that because we're moving, hopefully, to a situation where we will be you know, fingers crossed for all of us, I think, who remain in this room at the moment, that we'll be in a position to get rid of the ban, the constitutional ban on abortion in this country. I'm sure you're aware as a lawyer that there is a constitutional ban. If that was removed, then we have to look at legislation. So basically what I'm trying to tease out is the distinction between what we call socio-economic, what you call social, and these other horrible and hopefully very rare cases. And that if you were to only allow for the horrible and hopefully very rare cases, then you still have an extremely prohibitive abortion regime. Would that be your view?
Yes, you know what I think it's otherwise what you're trying to do is come up with reasons why one reason would be a better reason than the other reason. You know, let's, for instance, you know, I'm 45, I have 5 kids, and they're all in university, and suddenly I'm pregnant. You know, that could be a very good reason for me to say, well, oh my God, I don't want to start over again. On the other side, I am, you know, super poor. I have 2 small kids living in one tiny bedroom apartment with, you know, this is what you come across. I mean, it's desperate stories. It's never stories that people say, oh, that's what I said. It's not a light decision. And there's a lot of, when I made my opening statement, you know, between unplanned and, you know, some women get pregnant unplanned. And they come and they say, oh, it's unplanned, but it's really very wanted, you know, so, you know, people do deal with unexpected situations. It's not like they all run, you know, across the road and have an abortion.
If you didn't have to, it'd be
yes.
a great one. But just following on from that, I just want to explore what anti-choice people or people who are against abortion would argue is the abortion industry. And I'm interested to see that in the Netherlands at the moment, the majority of Irish people who do try to attend in Netherlands for an abortion attend these clinics called CASA clinics. There's 7 or 8 of them, and they're bankrupt at the moment. Now, I can see that they charge between 300 and 500, somewhere between 350 and 500 euro for an abortion. There are those who would say in Irish society that there's an abortion industry out there, and that this abortion industry is targeting vulnerable women. And in all of the material we have read and that has been set here in front of us, being targeted by the abortion industry has never been listed as a reason for an abortion. So if there's an abortion industry in Holland, and also I note the way women are entitled to a free abortion in Holland as long as you're insured and legal in the country. However, if there's an industry in Holland, it's bankrupt at the moment, and possibly given out a lot of free. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of corruption there.
Well, the reason they're bankrupt is because they had to pay back a lot of money. No, it's actually a question about billing. It's the way they were. We don't know what happened. It's under investigation. So I have no more data than you have and what we read in the newspapers. The only thing I know is that a couple of those clinics has to close, and it's putting an enormous stress on all the other ones, and we're seeing that. But you can say it's an industry, but there've been what do you call, you know, upbilling. You get a certain amount of money for a certain procedure. I told you all the procedures. So one of them is what I think, it's an assumption, is that one procedure is a bit more expensive than the other one, and they said that they A while they were doing B.
Okay, thanks for that.
So, but I mean, it has nothing to do with their professionalism or how they were doing it. There's no malpractice there.
Okay, thanks for that. One kind of final question, or probably 1.5 last questions, is that the early abortions are most common, under 13 weeks, 81%, which is very, very good. Is that largely due to the increased use of the abortion pill, or is that you know, that you can take a pill early on now and you don't have to go through the surgical abortion, or would you distinguish in those stats between the two things? And then the half a question I'd like to answer, because I don't suspect you'll want to answer it, I'd like to ask you that if you close your eyes and you just landed here, that you didn't know you had to come to Ireland to speak to a parliamentary committee about our future, what would you think of the state of abortion care for women in this country? What would be your impression, both as a professor in law and as a professor in obstetrics?
it's difficult. Huh?
Yeah. I can't give an opinion about the state of abortion care because I'm not familiar, but what I can see is the legal context, and that is, if you compare it with other countries in Europe, for instance, it's very restrictive. And if you look at the European Convention of Human Rights and the court decisions that have been taken in the course of the years, you see that the European Court has been very